welcome to the fourth episode of the podcast from Firetop Mountain. You are listening to Alison, Cybe, and I am joined today by Stuart, Lloyd. Say hello, Stuart.
Hello, Stuart.
Hello. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. Yes.
Yes, we are playing a brand new fighting fantasy book every week on the podcast from Firetop Mountain. Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone would be proud. Do you think they'd be proud of this week's book, which I don't think it was themselves who wrote this week's adventure, which is Daggers of Darkness?
Yes. Well, I'm sure they're proud of all their fighting fantasy game books in their own special way. I'm sure they wouldn't be allowed to choose. They couldn't choose between them.
Who is our author of this one? This was by Luke Sharp, I believe. Which ones did Luke Sharp write?
So he wrote Daggers of Darkness, which we're doing. He wrote Chasms of Malice, which was his first one, and then I should know this. He wrote one which is very similar to Daggers of Darkness.
Fangs of Fury.
Fangs of Fury, yes.
And did he do Starstrider as well?
Oh, he did. Yes. Yes, he did do Starstrider as well. That is very true. Yes, yes.
And there's oh god.
No, you knew way more about that than me, yes.
Oh, not that much. I was just going to say that if any of our listeners have a particular preference for any of Luke Sharp's fighting fantasy adventures, Starstrider, Chasm of Malice, Daggers of Darkness, and Fangs of Fury, please leave it in a comment so that we can check it out and see which ones is leading ahead in the most popular and most favourite.
Yes, I'm not going to comment on what I think is going to happen with that. But we'll just carry on.
Yes. So I'm guessing that Daggers of Darkness is your personal favourite out of the four, given that it's the one that we're tackling this week.
Yes, it is. Yes, yes. It's just they're all very similar. They've all got certain themes. Luke Sharp's books, but I think this one is the one where he managed to sort of be the best Luke Sharp he could be, let's say. So that's what I think. Yes.
Yeah, and this one, I believe it was yourself who put this one forward for us to play, wasn't it?
It is. Yes. I just I think I like a lot of Luke Sharp's themes. Which I'll talk about because it's sort of not fair to say what the themes that there are themes and then what they are. His books are very random, so you can kind of make a choice based on logic, and it probably won't work out the way you expect. But on the flip side, when he's doing it well, it doesn't really matter. So we can get into that in a second when we get to the aim of the book, and then we can get to how you achieve that aim and whether you actually need to achieve that aim or not. But his books are very random, and it's just, the fact that it's very random and it doesn't really matter if you sort of make the wrong choice or don't get the choice you expect is nice, because you can just sit back and enjoy the ride. So that's what I like about his books. That he does it better in some books than others. So in Daggers of Darkness, it doesn't really matter if you make the wrong choice, so to speak. But I'm not going to talk about any books that he does do that, the lethal books, maybe, or book.
Well, we might get to some of those in later in the series, or perhaps in the next series.
Exactly. Yes.
Looking at Daggers of Darkness for this week, which is perhaps famous for its really awesome cover, which we kind of spoiled quite a bit at the end of last week's episode.
It is awesome. It is that guy's living the dream on the front. So we did talk about it. We can say what it is again.
Yeah.
He's like surfing two saber-toothed tigers across a river, maybe, whilst holding a flail in one hand and having a sort of eagle behind him and holding the reins in the other hand. What also he's only got one eye. He's got an eye patch. Yeah, he's like a master of coordination and balance. I think he's got Olympic level gymnastic skill.
I think his presence there is probably what's responsible for selling the most copies of the book.
Yes, exactly. It's like, who wouldn't want to do that?
They say don't judge a book by its cover, but oh yeah, you're judging this book by this cover. It's going to be awesome.
It is. Oh yeah, exactly.
So
Yes.
on podcast from Firetop Mountain, we should probably introduce ourselves, shouldn't we? I mean, we're only 5 minutes in. We should probably tell the people who they're actually listening to.
That is good. Yes.
Do you want to?
Yeah, well, I'll start. Yes, so I'm Stuart Lloyd, and I wrote a blog called Lloyd of Gamebooks, and I still do. And I've written other game books as well. And my current project is a solo RPG system called Scrawl, which is short for Solo Crawl, and it's available on Drive-Thru and Itch for pay what you want.
So you should definitely go ahead and pick up a copy. Scroll by Stuart Lloyd, now available on Drive-Thru, and do please pay a considerable amount because he is an awesome writer. I'm also a writer. I write freelance in the tabletop roleplay game industry for numerous companies, including Paizo, Onyx Path, and I have my own imprint where I publish a few adventures here and there, namely for Call of Cthulhu, which is Cosmic Corgi. Be sure to check us out there. And with that, shall we begin our adventure?
Yes, definitely. It's good. Yes, I can't wait. So yes.
I got a feeling that they didn't really want us to start this book because it kind of started with an assassin trying to stab us to death.
Yes, yeah, it definitely puts you in the action, and that's that's basically in the background. You almost get stabbed to death.
That's a hell of a way to introduce your book, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Well, there is a lot of action in this book, which is what I love. Yes, it is a hell of a way to introduce your book, and it's not just any dagger that they're trying to stab you to death with. It's a death spell dagger, which you survive the assassination attempt with a scratch, but that scratch is slowly killing you. No.
So in Daggers of Darkness, you like many of the Fighting Fantasy books, you have like an unusual statistic that's unique to this particular adventure. This one has a poison rating. Due to your close call with the assassin, you are gradually dying of poison.
Yes, exactly. And you have 24 poison units, and when you've marked off the 24th one, then you die. And well, I like what they do in the adventure sheet. They don't just give you a number to fill in. They actually give you a person with split up into 24 different parts, which kind of nice, kind of evocative of the poison spreading through your body as you.
Yeah. I just love the fact that it's not even started and it's already thinking of ways to kill you.
Exactly. Yes. There are many ways to kill you in this book.
So who is this assassin that's trying to stab us with a very, very nasty poison dagger?
Well, this assassin is called a Mamlik because the area in this book, I think, is southern Kull, the continent of Kull, and Luke Sharp's fantasy books have very unique creatures. So the Mamlik's a sort of wrinkly humanoid creature. I'm not sure if Mamlik is like the group that they belong to or if it's a race or anything, but they are the Mamlik, and they work for Chings, I think that's how you say it, who is the sort of vizier to the ruler of the country that you're in, which the name escapes me quickly. Kazan, right?
Yes.
Kazan, yes. So why is that? Well, Chings, being the vizier, in a fantasy game book is obviously evil and trying to take the throne for himself, because every game book I've read with a vizier always has an evil, ends up with them being evil. Have you ever read a game book with a good vizier who wants to be helpful?
I don't think that they have any which are actually like doing their job of being like an advisor to the throne.
Okay.
They all seem to just kind of exist in fantasy books to get close to the throne and try to seize power, and occasionally like turn into all powerful genies and steal the power of Robin Williams and so on.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's another case of vizierdom. So it should be, yeah. So you should also, yes, every king or queen should definitely mistrust anyone who wants to be a vizier, because that's basically what they'll end up doing. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah. So why is the king's vizier taking such a great interest in you though? Because you're just sort of sitting in an inn, asleep before when you were assassinated. Do you want to say why, or shall I?
Well, from my playthrough, I was quickly rescued by me old drinking buddy, who turns out to have been a wise wizard all along. I'm always glad to go drinking with the wise wizards. He tells me that I've been targeted by the assassin because I'm one of the select group of people who may compete to claim the throne of Kazan. There's a whole history as to how this has come about. It's very complicated and kind of involves a story which adds a lot of general atmosphere to the book. But it essentially boils down to that you as the player, you as the character, can become the ruler of Kazan, and the vizier is just trying to narrow out the competition. Now, the wizard, your old drinking buddy, tells you that in order to claim the throne for your own, you need to seek a group of amulets, like a number of amulets which are guarded around the land, and with those, then you'll be able to confront the vizier, get a cure for his poison, and kick him in the knee for being such an evil git.
Exactly. Yes, and then claim the throne for yourself, because he's trying to mess with tradition.
I might have mangled that a little bit, but we'll just put that down to the drink.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's not a good way to start a quest with a scratch from a poisoned dagger and having just been drinking.
Yes.
It's not the best way to start the quest, but there we go. Maybe it'll get better.
It doesn't get any better, does it? It just kind of descends into violence and destruction.
That is true, actually. Yes, that's right. Yes. You can hope it gets better whilst you turn the page from the background to section 1. That's a nice feeling when you turn the page and you think it's going to get better.
How did your character start out? Stat-wise, did you have good luck on your rolls?
Yes. Well, I did 3 playthroughs again. My first playthrough, I had a skill of 11, a stamina 16, a luck of 8, which is decent, because I remembered that the fights in this aren't too bad. There's one tricky fight at the end, but you can avoid that if you make the right choice. So I was okay. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Skill of 10, stamina 17.
Oh, cool. Yes. That's
pretty,
right. Yeah.
Pretty solid. So our characters were in a good position at the start of this adventure. With the wizard's wise words echoing in our ears, we headed out on our travels. Do you think the wizard was telling the truth about the amulets?
He was in the background, and also this wizard is Astragal, who was in Chasms of Malice, and he's basically like the Yaz Tremo of Kull. Basically, he's the he's the guy who gives you help and exposition and sort of gets on and sort of sets you on your quest.
Because
So
we know that the wizards in the Fighting Fantasy books have a bit of a reputation for pulling your leg every now and then.
they do. But he's a good one, which means good wizards in Fighting Fantasy books, they sort of give you the exposition and then send you on your way. So yeah, I mean it's kind of debatable how good they are when they do that.
He's not asking us to seek out hag's hair and get a tattoo on our face or anything.
Oh no, he's not doing that. No, at least medallions are kind of make sense. He's not going to sort of make you do something ridiculous just so he can laugh at you, which is what you think was going to happen. But I see. It seems like the Astragol's a lot nicer than Nicodemus and Yazdramo, because Yazdramo charges you for magical items. You tell him you've got a quest, and he's like, yeah, well, you can buy my stuff then. And you're like, well, it's a quest to stop the trolls invading Stonebridge. He's like, yeah, no, you can buy my stuff. So
the dwarves aren't giving him any money now.
well, exactly. Yes, exactly. They're too busy looking for that, looking for their hammer and trying not to die. Those selfish dwarves.
Would you like to tell us how your mission began?
So once you turn the page, you were immediately told to mark off poison and lose a stamina point. So your hopes get dashed for a nice mission there. And then you see a body of a man with a dagger sticking out of his sort of stomach on a horse obelisk. So the horse obelisk is marking one of the regions of Kazan because they've all got animals associated with them. It's as you said, it didn't get better from the background; it just got worse straight away.
Yeah. We should just clarify: this horse obelisk isn't just sitting in the middle of town next to the tavern.
Oh no, it's like on a mountain pass. Yes, you do. Yeah, you do several hours of climbing and walking to get here, which is why you mark off poison, because poison spreads through your body faster when you do something sort of physically exhausting, mainly fighting, and then in this case climbing and walking through mountains.
It's not like the tavern keeper has stepped outside, saw that one of the drunks has deposited a horse obelisk in the garden again. Just kind of rolls his eyes. Oh God.
Exactly. It's nowadays it's traffic cones, but in fantasy world Cull it was horse obelisks. They were just all over the place, weren't they? Sunday morning, you just couldn't walk for horse obelisks.
I'll blame the wizards.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is already getting off to a good start. We found, and this wasn't just a random person that was lying dead on the horse obelisk. This was another one of these select.
Yes. So yes, they're just letting you know how dangerous it is and how basically everybody's out to get you. So yes.
And the dagger that was protruding from his chest was important as well, wasn't it?
Well, yes, that's another death spell dagger. So the Mamluks got him as well. They're all over the place, which is it's the feel you get in this book, that the feel that there's hundreds of assassins out to get you and nowhere's safe, which is a good feeling of tension, because in some books you're in danger of getting the feeling that you're just having a stroll through the countryside, but here you definitely aren't. You just can't do any decision without thinking, is this person a Mamluk who's going to try and kill me?
Do you think the death spell daggers and the daggers of darkness from the title are the same thing?
I think so. Yes.
I got that impression.
Yes, they are pretty dark. In terms, like metaphorically, that is. I think they're pretty normal coloured, like literally. But yes, I think the daggers. There aren't any other nasty looking daggers in this book.
They're very powerful daggers. I remember that because I've noted down in my notes of the playthrough that when I tried to rob the body, it immediately fell to dust along with all of his possessions as well.
Yes, exactly.
Including all of the gold coins in his bag. They clearly got poisoned as well. Very powerful poison.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very hard to poison gold. So, yeah, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to mistake that knife for the kitchen knife and then cut my finger with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and well, yes, you can actually get grazed by more death spell daggers if you're not so lucky, and then you have to double your poison score. It is. That is brutal.
We should just be clear: the when we meet the man, he isn't actually dead.
That's true. He just looks. He's almost dead. He's got the dagger in his stomach. If you don't loot him, he gives the chance. He sort of mumbles where the Mamluks went, which path they took, and then he dissolves to smoke. So yes, but that's not necessarily a better thing, because you have to take the other path if he gives you the warning. But taking the path with the Mamluks doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, which is a common theme in this book. Just because the logical path seems to be the better one doesn't mean it's going to end up the better one, because there's so many random things that happen in this book.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we continue along the path, down the road, and what choices did you make as you travelled?
Well, first I spoke to him, so I avoided the Mamluks, and then I ended up fighting some orcs, which were trying to attack me. And then I ended up in Yignek, which is one of the areas which has a medallion. And yes, so I sort of go up to the test. So I sort of go to take the test, and then a load of orcs and other creatures have already stolen the medallion. So that is not very good. And I tried to get the medallion back, but you can't actually I don't think you can get the medallion back in this case. So this is another random thing. So you try and get the medallion, you try and take the test, and then I wasn't able to do it because the orcs had already stolen it. It's quite an action-packed chase that you can do across you sort of fight some orcs, and then you try and run up to the roof and try and grab an orc that's being lifted away by a grip vulture, and then but yeah, you still can't get it. But it's pretty intense, that sort of section. I didn't even mind that I couldn't get the medallion. It was pretty good.
I kind of love that your choice there took you on a completely different track from mine for a good chunk of the adventure there. Essentially, on mine, I wound up heading in the direction where I was walking along the road, and a fellow traveller was heading along the road in the opposite direction from me, and I didn't much like the idea of running into a possible assassin. So I quickly found a hiding place. Quite literally dove into a little hovel under a tree, hoping that neither the assassin or any potential orcs or anything there would stumble across and do any murdering. Thankfully, they didn't, and I was all ready to rush out and ambush them when they unleashed one of their pet eagles on me, which pecked me until I staggered out of the hiding place, which was incredibly dignified. Yeah. Did turn out that they weren't actually assassins, though. They soon found out that I was one of the select, whereupon they greeted me with praise and respect and offered to help me along with my journey. They even gave me a horse, an old grey mare, which just ain't what it used to be. But before long, I was making what I thought to be pretty good progress. But then you're telling me that you almost got one of the medallions, and you're clearly like hundreds and hundreds of miles ahead of me there.
Well, yes. Yeah, because I did a test and then was about to do the test, but they ran away. And then, I chased the orc on a grip vulture, which carried me across the mountains.
Oh,
which
goodness.
Sort of dumped me in the mountains. Yes,
how
because
big was that vulture?
It was quite a big vulture. It was big enough to carry an orc, and then it was also going to carried me as well. Or a grip falcon. Yes. Oh yes, and then it slammed me into a cliff face, and so I had to fall and landed in the mountain. So I went from just about to take a test to get a medallion to being slammed into a grip face and left isolated in the mountains. So that is just how random this book can get. You can just start off in one place and then end up in a completely different place all of a sudden.
Yeah, just kind of charging from location to location there.
Exactly. Yes, it was pretty intense. So yeah, it was good though. Which is the kind of thing I like Daggers of Darkness for. So yes. Yeah. So what happened after the Grey Mare? We were on the Grey Mare.
Oh yeah, she didn't last too long, I'm afraid. Wound up on the nasty end of some orcs, I'm afraid.
Okay. And oh dear, poor Grey Mare.
I know. Yeah. Well, I stumbled away from the orcs during the night. Had to abandon my camp. Whereupon I was assailed by what the book describes as a dark warrior. I have to assume that means it was one of the assassins. There was a skill penalty due to the darkness, but I was able to defeat them. So if that was one of the assassins, I can happily say that I had bested one.
That's good. Yes, Dark Warrior. That might have been someone from the Underground Kingdom, which is where Chasms of Malice is set.
It could be as well, yes.
Yes, so yes, because Luke Sharp has his own sort of has his own mythology going on. So yeah, okay, yeah. So yes. We very quickly took diverging paths then because. Which is another thing I like about this book. You can do lots of different things.
Did you wind up in a snowstorm?
I did, and I could hear a soothing voice. That was where I ended up eventually. That's where the grip vulture or the grip falcon dropped me. Did you end up in the same snowstorm?
Yes, it looks like we then kind of our paths met again at that point with the snowstorm and the mystical voice kind of tempting us into to basically lay down in the snow and wait for death. Yeah. Yes,
exactly. Which I hope you ignored. I ignored as well. I ignored.
Yeah.
And fought a snow leech.
So your route had clearly brought you closer to a medallion because I had saw neither hide nor heard of one.
Well, yes, it's. I think we took the same route, but I think because I took the Grey Mare as well, but I think we took different options on what to do in the ambush, and then so I managed to stay with the warriors, and then you lost their way because there were lots of choices you take about which direction you go in various things, and there's not really much clue about what happens if you do that, but it kind of works out in the end. Even though neither of us had the medallion, it still works out. So, it could still work out even if you don't get the medallion, which is something I like about this book. Because, we can get to the end in a bit because I managed to get to the end in my third attempt.
Oh, good, good. At least one of us did.
Yes.
Following on from that, rather fun adventure in a snowstorm. I didn't get the impression from the passages before that we were in a particularly wintry clime.
No, I think it's sort of, you travel a long way. I think it's sort of, it changes quite quickly.
Yeah.
I think in section 1 it looks quite wintry because you're in a mountain, but then if you go into the flat areas, it's not very wintry. Yes, there's lots of places. There's like a swamp. You can end up in a swamp. You can end up in a field. The city doesn't look very snowy. It's just sort of, it gives the impression where you do travel a long distance. You travel all over the country basically, and there are lots of different terrains that you go across.
So big variety of landscapes basically then, yeah?
Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah, very big variety. Because there's potentially 6 places you could go with each their individual characteristics. Like there's the horse place that we went to, and then there's the sort of bull area. I'm not even sure if you can go to all 6 because it's so big and it's hard to map it. But it's very good to. There's a lot to explore because. Well, shall I tell you what happened after that? Because another completely random thing happened.
You found a fellow adventurer who was being attacked by a pack of goblins.
That's right, and he was a sense warrior from under the chasms of malice. So he I trusted him because I've read Chasms of Malice and I know that he's one of the good guys, and he taught me how to sense fights, which was pretty good. He's a pretty good teacher because he didn't take very long.
Yeah, it would have been useful for us to know that a couple of passages ago when I was being attacked by assassins in the dark.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that really helps. It might come in handy later though. That's the thing.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And then we do evidently what my character likes to do and find a nearby tavern for a few drinks.
Exactly, and then I chose the scimitar brand and I lost 1 skill and 2 stamina.
Oh god!
That. I know that's pretty strong stuff. The scimitar brand. Luke Sharp puts in these really seemingly inconsequential choices, but they have really big stat changes in that case, because 1 skill is quite a big stat change. And then which one did you choose?
I didn't note it down, unfortunately.
Well, the funny thing is, if you choose the other one, that's nice, and then he advises you to not try the scimitar brand after you've chosen. So I don't think he was very helpful in that respect.
Dear. We had a few drinks, and then a group of mercenaries burst into the tavern and threw a net over you.
Exactly. Yes, getting kidnapped is another favourite of Luke Sharp's, because I think in each of my 3 adventures I got kidnapped, each one. So yeah, you get knocked out and kidnapped an awful lot in this game. It's very hard to avoid getting knocked out and kidnapped.
I have to be honest, when they mentioned that I would spend the rest of my life in the fighting pits, I kind of assumed that was going to be the end. I thought that at some point I must have chosen to go down a no-end route. But no, we were able to get out of that.
Yes, you were, because you could either fight for your freedom or say that you're one of the select. I think I said I was one of the select again, which meant I had a less difficult fight, which was good. And then you sort of escape. So this links in with it. So yes, it seems pretty nasty getting kidnapped and knocked out, but actually, if it's a Luke Sharp book, then that's probably just one misadventure in a long list of various misadventures you're going to go through. So yeah. It's basically a long list of bad things happening to you and you escaping by the skin of your teeth. That's basically what happens in a Luke Sharp book.
I mean, that is basically the whole recipes for a classic fantasy adventure, though.
It is, exactly. He's definitely got that sorted. Yeah, and it's sort of, well, once you know that, you can sort of relax a bit, because you're not sort of you kind of, that's what I think. I sort of relaxed a bit, because I was like, oh well, he's saying I've been kidnapped and knocked out, but I do know that it's not going to be the end. Whereas in some fighting fantasy books, it's like, here's a plain door and you open it and then you die without warning. So yes, but there we go. Yes. And then after I revealed I was to select, I got taken to another trial, because you have to do trials before the maze.
Yeah.
And this was in an area that determines everything by chance, which is where I died. I think it sounds like where you died as well, from what we were talking about.
This is indeed where I met the most terrible and inauspicious end. How would you describe the trial by chance?
Well, I told you the name before. Should I tell you the name I came up with?
Please,
the new name? Yeah, so it's called the Chamber of Chance, and I've decided to call it the Chamber of No Chance.
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Yes. So how did it work? So you were asked to roll a die.
Yes.
On a 1 or a 2, you stay where you are.
Yes.
On a 3 and a 4, you move left or right.
Yes.
And on a 5 and a 6, you move up or down.
Yes.
It's a fairly basic grid-shaped map that you're to move across. However, if you make the wrong step by chance, complete chance, because it's what you roll on the dice, you fall into a pit and are bitten by poisonous snakes.
Yes. So then you lose 3 stamina. And also, if you stay where you are, you have to lose 1 stamina.
Yeah.
Which is, and also you can't go back. You can only go on each square once. So it's quite easy to get trapped and just lose all your stamina.
Why do you lose 1 stamina from staying where you are?
The book doesn't really explain that. It's just part of the game, I guess.
I kind of assumed that there was a group of men standing at the entrance who throw rocks at you if you don't move.
Okay, that's as good a reason as any. That would be good. Is that? Maybe I missed that when I read it.
No, I just made it up.
Okay, well there we go. Yes, why not?
So I have listed on my character sheet, I died by chance.
Well, yes, it's like you say. There's very limited decisions. You can either move left or right, but once you move, then you can't go back. And yes, I just got stuck on the edge, and couldn't move because I kept rolling left or right, and I couldn't go left or right. So I died because of that.
So we'll say that maybe that part of the adventure needed some work.
Definitely did, and it's a real shame, because the actual maze you do afterwards it's quite fun. It's another chance one, but the encounters are actually quite interesting, and you can get flowers, and then you fight these fiend monsters, but the fiends, if you give the fiends flowers, then they don't fight you because they're too different flowers. So yeah,
I mean,
and you can
I can vibe with that, yeah.
Yeah, and you can actually get the medallion on this one if you're lucky, because it's all down to chance. But I expect anyone who plays this game fairly would never come across this maze, because they have to go through the Chamber of No Chance.
Chamber that literally kills you if you stand still and kills you if you move.
Exactly.
It's like, back when we would do the blog and we would list like the reason as to what killed you at the end.
Yes.
If you roll a 1 or 2, so you stay still and you lose stamina points, what would you list as the reason that you died?
laziness. I don't know, just,
Yes. I guess it would have to be.
yeah.
Oh dear. But you did a different playthrough,
Yes, I did.
and you won.
I did. Well, yeah, I'll tell you what happened when I won. Shall I tell you my journey when I won?
Yes.
So at the beginning, I looked at the items and I took the route with the Mamliks, which did have a Mamlik eventually. I found a Goblin and a Griphawk. The man told me about the Maze of Bogomil, which I think is the Minotaur / Bull place. And then, oh yes, I woke up to have a Mamlik about to stab me, and I held his arm, which was the right choice, because if I tried to roll out the way, he would have scratched me and I would have had double poison. But instead, his ring fell off, and I managed to get that. So then I did the Maze of Bogomil. I had to do lots of tests to get to the Maze of Bogomil, which was I had to do this sort of, what is it? A sort of it's got a gauntlet of horses trying to kick me, basically. Which comes on to another Luke Sharp favourite, which is roll 2 dice, and if the numbers match, something bad happens. Did you come across any of those?
I didn't myself, but I have seen that in a few of his books.
Yes, he loves that, which is, that gives you a decent chance of succeeding, because there's a 1 in 6 chance of rolling 2 dice and getting the same result. So that's not too bad. Then I got a medallion from the Maze of Bogomil, which is the one where there's you can get some. I think I was told what to do, and it's very easy to know you're on the right path, because the rooms you're in, some of them have words on them that spell a sentence, which is the medallion weighs 10 gold coins. So then I found the medallion, and because of what the sentence told me, I did an Indiana Jones and took the medallion off the obelisk, or off some scales, and replaced it with 10 gold coins.
Sensible. That works.
Exactly. Yeah. And I didn't have any boulders fall on me. That was actually very a fair test. Not like Indiana Jones.
See, now I'm thinking, what happens if you don't have the 10 gold coins?
I think you get a load of crossbow bolts shot at you. So that's pretty bad. Yeah.
Well, I say not bad. You know what I mean.
Well, yes. You have the chance of putting 5 gold coins on, which isn't so bad as not putting as not putting anything on. But yeah, I'm not sure what happens. I think you lose quite a hefty chunk of stamina if you don't put anything on, but you might get away with it if you put 5 on. But yeah, there's no reason to be mean with your money in this game. There aren't very many chances to buy stuff, so I just put the 10 gold coins on. And then I got knocked out and kidnapped pretty soon after that by some other people.
Again.
By yeah.
I see a recurring theme here.
It is. He loves Luke Sharp. He loves knocking people out and kidnapping them. In the book. I just need to point out in the book. I'm not. I don't know.
We are going to be getting a call about this, I think.
Yeah. So I'm sure Luke Sharp does not knock out and kidnap people in real life. I'm sure he's.
No, definitely hasn't done it lately. No, definitely not.
Definitely not. And then there was this funny thing where I woke up with my arms tied. I burnt the ropes off, and then I sledged to freedom on a bit of wood down an icy path, which was quite a funny little scene. And there was a Khazanid at the bottom. A Khazanid is another tribal group from that's the sort of Chinggis as sort of recruited. But
he uses a lot. He uses a lot of tribal groups in his work, I think, doesn't he?
Does, yes. Yes, he does, and they're only in his book, so there's not really much to know about them. The Khazanids, I got captured by them, but I made the one at the bottom of the hill faint, and then so that was pretty good. an elf gave me a drink to avoid the necromancers, which are pretty nasty creatures that can't be harmed by normal weapons. So it's good that I didn't encounter them. I know you can learn to fight them with a necromancer fighting skill, but I didn't find that either. I bribed some trolls to get into Sharabas, which is the capital city.
Yeah.
And then a girl stole the ring from me. And then I met sort of some friends again, Astragal and someone called Mandrake Wolfsbane, who gave me some potions to get into the fortress. I chose the right one. There were 4, and one of them is bad, and 3 of them are, the other 3 are good. Now, which one? I can tell you which one is the bad one. It's the cross, which I remember because it's like a cross, like "Don't drink me."
Makes sense.
Yeah, the potions make you like turn into a ghost and enter the fortress to a certain place.
So did you get to the vizier at the end?
I did. Yes, I did. And at the end, well, if you the viziers are pretty sort of getting to the vizier. Once you got to the vizier, it's pretty easy because it turns out that betraying people runs in his family, because when you find him, he's almost dead, and his daughter has betrayed him, and she is currently sitting on the throne. So you just have enough time to take the dagger of darkness out of your boot and put it in his hand, which breaks the curse, and then he dies after telling you to sort of stop his daughter. So he kind of has a change of heart once his daughter betrays him and kills him, basically. I think she literally backstabs him. I think there's a dagger sticking out of his back when he dies.
Oh wow! So we walked in right at the interesting moment there.
Exactly. It's brilliant. And then it's actually quite easy to win, because his daughter is sitting on the throne with 4 ogres that she sends to attack you, but there's a magical sort of thing about the throne is that you can't draw a weapon in the presence of the throne, and so all you have to make sure you do is not draw your sword, and then all the ogres turn to stone, and Chingiz's daughter sort of turns into dust.
How do you know that? How do you know about the throne?
I can't even remember if the book tells you. It might. I knew that because I played it previously. I'm trying to remember if someone tells you that, but I can't remember if someone does tell you that.
Because I think that would be a big surprise if that wasn't put across to the player.
Well, yes, exactly. Maybe you could sort of metagame and think, well, if there's 4 ogres, then it's kind of impossible. So maybe we shouldn't be. Maybe I shouldn't be drawing a sword. But I don't think the book tells you that I know of. But there's so much of the book that I
very well might be down one of the paths that we didn't take.
Yes.
And if you know, do please leave it in a comment.
Exactly. There's a lot to explore with this book. Yeah.
So you managed to do that. Were the medallions of any help?
They were, because when you're in the fortress, if you have 1 medallion, you avoid a lot of combats. It gives you a shortcut to avoid some combats. If you have no medallions, you have to fight a load of monsters, and then you get to a room where you can choose some powers, because as the ruler of Kazan, you can get some powers, and if you have a second medallion, you can just choose the powers. But if you don't have a second medallion, you have to mix together certain things, and there's a chance that you would either get a power or die. Which is how I died in my second attempt.
That's brutal.
It is. So you have 9 potions to mix. Well, there are 9 possible potions, and you have to drink 2 of them to get 2 powers, and 3 of the potions are deadly poison or deadly in various ways. So yes, at least that one you can just remember the sections not to turn to the second time round. So that's okay. Yeah, but yeah, and the powers are pretty nifty. I chose storm bringing or storm summoning because that's how you avoid a skill 11 opponents.
Yikes.
That's the only way you can do it. And then persuasion is the next best one, because then you can persuade a gremlin to not swallow a key, so you can get through a door more easily.
So some pretty good abilities that you can pick up near the end then.
Oh yeah. Actually, I want to list them because they're pretty good. There's invulnerable to sword strike. That's pretty useful. There's the power to change metal objects. So you can, if you choose a path, you can change some orc spears into gold nuggets, and they fight over them, which is good. There's great wisdom, which is the best for being a ruler, but actually is never mentioned again. So if I didn't have to fight a skill 11 opponent, I'd choose great wisdom. And then there's Stormbringing, like I said, and the power of persuasion. Yeah, so some pretty good abilities.
So it sounds like a pretty decent ending to the adventure as well.
It is, yes.
Only difficulty then being getting through the trial of chance in order to get to it.
Well, fortunately, you can just completely ignore the trial of chance. Hopefully, or you can. Well, the good thing is, this is something I like about this book, because you can still win it even if you don't have any medallions, because the combats that you skip if you have a medallion aren't that bad. They might be a bit worrying if your poison's a bit high, but otherwise they're pretty weak opponents. So, which is what I like, because if this was an Ian Livingstone book, he'd make you get all 6 medallions and then fight the ogres at the end, which would probably give you a 1% chance of winning. But with Luke Sharp, it's like, well, you can get a medallion, but if you don't, it's okay. So that's what I like about this book. That the victory condition is just to survive, basically, rather than find some impossible to find items.
Victory condition: survive.
Yes. Just plug on through. I think it's a nice message. It's like, yes, you're going to have lots of setbacks in life, but if you keep at it, then you'll succeed. That's basically his message. Whereas Ian Livingstone's message is, if you don't do a very specific set of things and be very lucky, then you will die horribly. So I think it's a more optimistic message, this one.
Yeah, I like that. So with that, shall we give the adventure a mark out of was it marks out of 10 or marks out of 5? I know I ask that every week.
Well, we both do a mark out of 5, and that adds up to a mark out of 10.
That's what we do, wasn't it? Yes. What shall we mark it out of 5 watts out of what?
Should we mark it out of 5? Daggers.
Yes.
Yeah, Daggers. Yes. So I picked it. I like it. I like it for the message. I like it for the randomness. I like it for the fact that you don't die horribly at every turn. So, I'm going to give it 4 because I'm in a happy mood. I was thinking between 3.5 and 4, but I'll give it 4.
See, I'm not personally a fan of randomness in the games. I really like the events to have a direct tie to the choices I make. So I would only give it a 3, but based on the cover, and that is an awesome cover, I'm going to bump it up to one more dagger. So my total is a 4.
Wow, there we go. 8 daggers out of 10. That is awesome. So yeah, there you go. So the moral of this story is, if you're writing a game book, make the most awesome cover you can think of.
Yeah, and make it completely random. throw in a poison track because it's nice to know that you're going to die sooner or later. And don't worry about it. Just go for it and jet ski on those tigers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh dear. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I did. What have you got on for us? What do we have on for the listeners next week?
Next week's a unique fighting fantasy game book because it's the only superhero one.
Oh yes, I chose this one, didn't I?
Yes. So yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone. No. This is awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it is awesome. It's appointment with fear, or F-E-A-R-A.
F-E-A-R. Yes.
Yes.
Appointment with fear.
Fear. Yes. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this. The last time I read it, had a very different perspective of superheroes because it was my only superhero exposure was Adam West's Batman. So yeah, so I kind of get the impression that it was kind of their only exposure as well.
Well, it was a different era of superheroes, to be fair.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, it is a very very unique fighting fantasy book, and we very much look forward to introducing everyone to it.
Yes, it'd be brilliant. Yes.
So with that, we will wrap up and say good night, everyone, and we will be with you in 7 days with an appointment with us and an appointment with fear.
I like we did that.
Thank you. You have been listening to the podcast on Firetop Mountain. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Throw us a few kind words, and we will see you later. I've been Alison Cybe.
And I've been Stuart Lloyd.
The podcast from Firetop Mountain is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, ring the bell and do all the other things you need to do in order to get another season of the podcast from Firetop Mountain.